Welcome back everyone, Oz here. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. And today we're going to be taking another look at r/Entitled Parents. Entitled mother pulls fire alarm in a crowded indoor water park and hurls a cake at security. Hello everyone, I worked for a few years as a front desk supervisor at a hotel attached to an indoor water park. I have lots of stories involving entitled parents, entitled kids, and tons of crazies. But this entitled mom, EM, was one of the worst. I didn't deal with her personally, but I had to deal with her aftermath. The head of security in the water park told me the whole story. TK stands for traumatized kid, WP stands for water park. It was the dead of winter, late February, and due to the freezing cold, the indoor water park attracts lots of families. It was a packed Saturday, but after the check-in rush, the lobby was a ghost town. I was working the front desk alone, shooting the stuff with the security guards when a call came over the radio from the water park. Our head of security, we'll call him Don, was a stocky bear of a guy, and the king of calm authority. He could look at a rowdy group and they'd stop cold, but he knew how to handle himself if they didn't. He calmly walked down the hall of the water park, rookie security guard in tow, and I waited for them to come back with a story. They were gone less than 10 minutes, and the fire alarm starts blaring. I hear Ron yell over the radio it was a false alarm, and to bring the shuttles around to pick up water park guests, and my heart sank. It was past 10 p.m. and at least negative 10 degrees outside, and a whole bunch of soaking wet people must have walked out into the cold, not to mention a horde of angry guests upstairs. Thankfully, the alarm was diffused quickly and we caught most people from leaving the lobby, and the shuttles circled the building to intercept guests who went outside with the warm blankets. After a bit, Don and the rookie returned. The rookie was splattered with cake and holding a bandage on his hand, and Don dives into the story. Entitled mom was hosting her 8-year-old's, traumatized kid's, birthday in the water park. Our catered birthday package included cake, pizza, and all-day water park passes for the party guests. Entitled mother took that as, "You can watch my kid," and spent the day harassing the lifeguards to bring her fresh towels and drinks, claiming too many seats for her friends and generally ignoring her daughter. The trouble really started around 10 p.m. because the restaurant and bar closed, and entitled mother wanted to go home. She couldn't see her daughter, it was a large park, so entitled mother started screaming and cussing loudly for her to get out of the water. Lifeguards tried to calm her down, but she angrily pushed past them, threatening her daughter. "Traumatized kid, you better get out of the water. You have until the count of 3. 1, 2, 2.5, 3. Security arrived just as she shouted 3. Walked calmly to the wall, and before they realized what she was doing, she pulled the fire alarm. "Now everyone has to get out of the water because you didn't listen. This is your fault, traumatized kid." The lifeguard and security were stunned, but they quickly went after her, and she wobble ran back to the party balcony. "Get away from me. You were too lazy to help her out, so I had to." Mind you, she was wearing a swimsuit and could have easily gone in the park to get her child. The rookie starts going for her. The entitled mother picks up the leftover cake from the party and hurls the tray at him and the lifeguards. When the rookie reeled back in surprise, she tackled him. Dawn managed to rip her off by the scruff of the neck and subdue her, but she managed to get a nasty bite on Rookie's hand. The police were called and entitled mother was arrested for assault, and traumatized kid was taken home by her aunt. I spent the rest of that night calming down furious guests with frightened or freezing children, but it felt good to know entitled mother was arrested. Let me know if you want more, I've got lots. They said she was arrested for assault, but I wonder if pulling the fire alarm falsely was also added onto her charges, because that's kind of a big deal. And can you imagine putting everyone in the building at risk of dying from hypothermia just because your daughter went off to have a little bit of fun? Seriously. "Give me your wedding ring because my daughter's boyfriend can't afford one right now." Hey guys, so I always thought that the entitled parent thing only really happened with young kids. No, that's not the case. Wife and I just went to the rodeo to see a concert and eat some food that we would inevitably regret later. Cardi B, not a fan, but the wife is. Anyway, you have to take a bus to the actual rodeo because of the various parking places. EP is entitled parent, W is wife, me, the sarcastic asshole. Nice. We are standing on the bus waiting for the stop to get off, and entitled parent keeps staring at my wife's hand. My wife is way too nice and started a conversation. I won't go into a dialogue chat because, to be honest, I don't remember it word for word. However, it went along something like this. Wife and entitled parent started talking. Wife initiated it because she felt uncomfortable with the staring from the lady, and eventually it got to the topic of my wife's wedding ring. We just got married in May. Entitled parent told my wife that she loves her ring, and then asks to see it. My wife looks at me for help, and I, being the firmer in nature, say, "I'm sorry, but that's not appropriate. We don't know you." Basically the stuff anyone would say when a random ass person asks to see your wedding ring. Keep in mind, my wife still has it on her finger when entitled parent FaceTimes her daughter. She basically zooms in on my wife's hand and asks if she likes the set. The daughter says yeah, it's cute, and the mom basically goes, "Okay, thanks, bye," and then hangs up the phone. This I do remember word for word because I'm pretty sure my eyebrows hit the ceiling. "Give me your wedding ring because my daughter's boyfriend wants to propose but can't afford one." I looked at her and I swear I laughed for a solid 10 seconds before I realized she was serious. My wife looked at me like, "Who's this bitch?" And I was just overall surprised by the woman. I kid you not, this woman reached over and grabbed my wife's hand. My wife made a fist so that she couldn't get the ring, and I pushed the woman's hand off of my wife and told her that was enough. She started to scream and people were staring, but my wife told the people what was going on and they turned around. No one thought to help. Anyway, the woman persisted to try to get the ring some more, and she looked at us and said, "You can obviously afford it. I'm trying to make my baby's dream come true," or some shit like that. I finally told her if she puts her hand on my wife again, she's going to catch an attempted robbery charge as well as an assault charge. She moved through the bus, but not before I screamed that she was trying to steal things from people, so they should watch out. She made the bus driver stop somewhere random so she could get off. This was the weirdest shit that's ever happened to me. I need to go ahead of you in line. I have a child. You know the drill here. EM is entitled mom, me is yours truly. As the title suggests, I was standing in the line of the grocery store waiting. I was holding a box of Pop-Tarts and 3 tins of cat food. Priorities. I heard someone push their cart up behind me in line, and I moved up a couple more steps to give them room. The person behind me cleared their throat. I remained facing forward because, well, why would I have turned around? The person behind me cleared their throat again, a far more fake and ahem sort of throat clear, so I turned my head to look at them and smile, not quite sure what's going on. I need to get ahead of you in line. I'm sorry, I need to get ahead of you in line. I then look at her cart, which is stacked, and then at the few things I'm holding in my hands and hold them up a bit, before replying, "I just have a few things, I'll be super quick. I have a child with me, if you hadn't noticed. I need to go first." I look again and there is a baby carrier in the front of the cart and the child is fast asleep. Now, if someone had come up behind me in line with a screaming child they were trying their best to comfort to no avail, I would have stepped out of line and let them go ahead of me without them having asked. No question. But to have some lady push up behind me with a sleeping child, a crammed cart of food, and demanding to go ahead of me because they had a child, I'm not so keen, so I shake my head. "No, I'm sorry, I've been waiting here for a bit and I'd like to get out. I only have a few things, so I'll be quick." I turn back around, then face towards the cashier, and the lady behind me starts huffing and scoffing, like she's just totally disgusted with me for being selfish. She shifts her cart around, making pained noises like it was just too much for her to bear with. And I start to feel uncomfortable, and like this wasn't worth the argument, and maybe I should just let her go ahead of me. Then the cashier catches my eye, and she gives me this kind of evil smile, and reaches over and hands me her "please use the next cash register" sign, and asks me to put it behind my things when I set them down. She then calls over me to disgruntled mom and tells her she'll have to get into a different line because she was closing her till after me. Entitled mother lets loose with the curse words, wheels the cart around hard enough that a bunch of stuff falls off the top. Her child, predictably, wakes up and starts crying while she's picking up her things. I'm guessing I looked rather bewildered because the cashier laughed at me and said quietly, "I'm a mom with 3 kids. I hate it when other moms use their kids like there's some sort of disability that entitles them to special treatment." I leave rather happy that not every parent in the world is entitled. That was a pretty wholesome ending there with the cashier. Kudos to her. Entitled parent says since thief wrote his name on the stolen items, he gets to keep them. So we'll set the Wayback Machine to when my son was not yet a teenager. Anyway, my son had a young boy that would come over occasionally. I wouldn't call them friends exactly, but they were young, probably 2 to 4 years difference, and my son was probably 13 at the time. Every time this young man came into our house, something went missing. Little things, but still inconvenient. On this particular day, my son told me that this boy had not only taken several of his Xbox games, but had texted him that he was not returning them unless a fee was paid. Naturally, I went completely ballistic. I took a few deep breaths. We had run-ins with the boy's family before, and because the uncle was no stranger to the criminal system, it usually did not go in our favor. However, This time with the text in hand, I felt we had a little more to go on. I called the sheriff and explained the situation, when they told me that the value of the games put it in a more serious category, as well that they were taken while we were in the home, that this might be more actionable. A deputy arrived, I showed him the text, and we proceeded to walk down to the boy's house. The reception at the door was, as expected, evasive and hostile, with the uncle chiming in with his jailhouse lawyer BS. Eventually the games were found, but at this point, Grandma grabbed them back and started raising a storm. "See, he got his name on them. They his. He ain't giving them back." The deputy showed the grandma the text messages and advised her, as he pulled out the handcuffs, that thief is about to be arrested for theft over $500 and burglary of an occupied structure. Jailhouse lawyer uncle shut up, grandma shut up, thief handed over the games, son checked to make sure they were all intact. From that point on, thief was no longer permitted anywhere near my property. We still had the occasional run-ins with him and his family, but after that they were all considerably less confrontational. Thank you for your time. This is quite literally the reverse of the "I don't see your name on it" thing that kids pull when they take something that's not theirs. As a heads up, next Entitled Parents video will be made of stories submitted by you guys. So, as always, thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed today's video, please consider subscribing, and I'll see you all next time.